first of all, I just want to thank everybody for joining us today for an hour of their time for our webinar, How to Get and Keep Your Culture Unstuck During COVID-19. This is actually the first time that we presented this webinar formally. It's actually adapted from a webinar that we've been formulating for a TEDx talk that Mark Braun, our president, was slated to speak at in August. So at this time, that TEDx event is actually postponed, but we figured the content that was being developed for it was actually incredibly appropriate for this time of uncertainty, and it helps us with our pay it forward motion that we want to help enrich lives. So we figure if we feel that we can help anybody get from the point of being where they feel stuck to a point where they can feel like they're moving forward, that's a win. So that is why we decided to put this webinar on today. A little bit about myself. My name is Annie Krieger. I am the digital marketing specialist at Cambridge Air Solutions. Like many of you, I'm working from home for the last 3 to 4 weeks with my husband, who I'm sharing the Wi-Fi with, who is holed up in one of the bedrooms, my 2 young children, and 2 very loud Australian shepherds. So I apologize in advance if they pop in at any point of this. I'll try to mitigate that and keep that to a minimum. I'll also be acting as a moderator today. So if anybody has any questions during Mark's presentation, feel free to pop that into the Q&A, and we'll have a special time at the end of the presentation where we'll answer as many of those questions as possible. So without much further ado, I am so excited to introduce our president at Cambridge Air Solutions, Mark Braun. Mark travels nationally and internationally speaking to topics on lean, employee engagement, company culture, and how to grow leaders, among many, many other topics. So Mark, I'm gonna go ahead and throw it over to you.
Well, thank you, Annie. It's great to see your face, and thanks for doing the introductions. And I'm really just excited to be in front of you today. I think there's only a few dozen folks on today, but I know that today represents a time in history that we haven't seen before. I'm just thinking about the 7 billion people on this earth, and I don't think there's ever been a time in history where there's been more of us, more people, more human beings that are feeling stuck. And I don't know also that there's been ever a time when we've been unified in a way to be able to go out and fight a common cause together. And I don't know if there will ever be another time in the future that we'll have more people trying their best to attack a common cause. And so we'll talk a little bit about keeping and getting a culture unstuck. We'll share our experiences. I'm humbled this morning. I woke up and there's a decision that I have to make as a leader of Cambridge that I'm stuck on. And I was thinking about and wrestling with how the heck do I go out and share a message today about getting unstuck when I'm stuck myself. And so I just want you to know that I'm not trying to teach anybody anything today, but I will share some of our experiences with that and the ways that I've gotten unstuck myself and the ways that we've gotten unstuck as an organization, the keys to that. And I hope that you'll be encouraged by that. And so the first, I'd like to just start off with a famous quote. I would like for you to give some thought to this, and I want to know who here remembers who said this statement: "Congratulations, you are stuck." I'll give you about 2 minutes. No, I'll give you a couple seconds. The answer is no one. No one's ever said this, because most of us feel like being stuck is really a negative thing. And so we don't go around saying congratulations to others when they're stuck, and we don't congratulate ourselves when we're stuck. But I think that today I'm hopeful that I can share with you that if we were able to look at being stuck with a positive attitude, not only not negative, but actually a congratulatory feeling. Congratulations, you're stuck right now means that you've been given more responsibility in leadership, more responsibility at home than you're currently capable of handling. And so congratulations, because someone, somewhere, some force, some being has given you more than you're able to handle. And whenever I share this before in a time that's not quite so crazy and when we don't have people thinking they're stuck all over the place, I find that most people don't actually think they're stuck. They, instead of admitting they're stuck, they feel like, you know, they've got everything under control and everything's fine and they're going to be able to make it through no matter what, or they feel like somebody else is holding them back and they're criticizing, condemning, or complaining. The person that I'll just share with you, one person that I believe had idea, a different idea of failure and a different idea of mistakes and a different idea behind being stuck. Here's a quote by Michael Jordan. He says, "I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over. I know he could repeat that over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." I believe he had a different attitude towards failure, towards making mistakes, and towards being stuck than most of us have. And I believe it's that attitude, that shift in perspective that allowed him to take risks and go out and try things and keep on getting up over and over and over again when he's failing. So I believe he actually had an attitude of congratulations, you're stuck. There's 4 steps that I'll be talking a little bit about today, and I think these work for an individual getting unstuck, but also for a culture. And those 4 steps are these. The first step is admitting you're stuck. I find like it's really relieving to me to actually say, I'm stuck right now. It helps me understand that I'm the one that's going to have to get unstuck. I'm going to be stuck until I first admit that I'm stuck. The second is to select a coach and ask for help. I think this one is really hard. If the first one's difficult, the second one sometimes is even harder, just be able to ask for help from others. The third is to adjust daily habits, not looking for big changes in your life, looking for small changes that add up to big differences in getting yourself unstuck or your culture unstuck. We'll talk a little bit about the daily habits in Cambridge that are so critical before this crisis and have been life-saving after it. And then we'll talk about the necessity. Step 4 is to pay that forward. And today, you're part of that. Allowing us to continue to be unstuck as a culture requires us to pay it forward. This is what I believe, and it's really, I'm really grateful for your willingness to be able to allow us to pay it forward to you today. I remember the first time I was stuck in my career. I was just graduated from chemical engineering, and I was on my first job, and I was 6 months into it, and no one would listen to my brilliant ideas about how to make everything better in their work. And I kept on coming up with good ideas, and they kept on handing them right back and saying, that's not what I want to do. And I was in a performance review 6 months in with a coach, a friend, a mentor, a guy that had been there 34 years. He was an engineer, a senior engineer. His name was Herb Michael. And he sat down and he said, "Mark, I like you." And I said, "Thank you. You're about the only one who does." And he said, if you don't change how you interact with the operators, you're going to be gone in 6 months. You're like a bull in a china shop. You're really smart and you got great ideas, but nobody wants to listen to your darn ideas because you're not listening to them. And I remember the humbling feeling. First of all, I remember feeling like, you got to be kidding me. I'm going to fail at my first job. But the second is that I remember listening to him. And I remember knowing that he was for me and not against me. And I really am so grateful that I admitted that I was stuck at that time, and I allowed him to coach me through that. And so I went to learning how to have a daily habit of listening to the operators instead of listening to myself and helping them accomplish their goals instead of accomplishing mine. And I didn't get fired in 6 months. And that was the first time I got stuck. That was like 6 months into my career. I've been stuck so many times in the last 25 years as I've gone from engineering to engineering management, from sales to sales management, and to my most recent role as president of Cambridge Engineering, where I was stuck this morning. And so I think that the constancy of, as you grow as a leader, the fact that I've gotten comfortable with the fact that I'm going to have to admit that I'm stuck a lot. The selecting a coach, I think about this one in Cambridge's history, and we'll go over some of the daily habits, but we were stuck at Cambridge about 5.5 years ago on our lean journey. And we had to admit that as an organization. And we ended up finding a coach. I'll just share this resource right here. Paul Akers ended up being our coach, and 2 Second Lean ended up being our model. And he helped us to adjust our daily habits. And I'll share a couple of those with you. And then we've been paying it forward for the last 5 years. And so there's just so many times whenever I've been stuck personally, and we've been stuck as an organization. These are our family here at Cambridge. So there's 160 of them. I would love for you to be here in person. I would love for you to be able to meet everyone, shake their hands, see their smiles. They are the families that make up, give me great joy to lead and serve here. And it's their stories that I'll share some of today, and how they have been able to get themselves unstuck, and how they have built an organization now that, even facing great crisis, is able to overcome and continue to grow and learn through it. We've had over 200 tours at our facility for lean tours, where we've been paying that forward to folks, with 400 plus companies and 4,000 plus visitors coming from around the world to see the culture and to see what it looks like to live in and to lead in a culture like this. And so I just want you to know that we would love to have you here, but we've suspended all of these tours because of the desire to protect and serve our employees and to protect and serve the community. And so today I'll share a little bit about how to get a virtual lean tour, but I wish that you could meet them, and I know that someday it will be a great privilege for them to meet you as well. I'll share a little video here before I start it. Just want to talk a little bit about what I'm sharing and why. We were actually stuck another time, and I'll share another resource with you that we used. We had a coach, and before I do that, just want to share this book. This is Patrick Lencioni's book, The Advantage. And when we were wrestling with how to communicate our purpose, we used this book to really get unstuck, and a coach to do it with. And he said it's really critical to have organizational health, and you have to know your purpose. You have to know your why. And he said it's the most important question that you'll be asked. And so 10 years ago, we got to listen directly to Patrick Lencioni, and we, 7 years ago, wrote down this why that I'm going to share with you today in video form. But I just think about, when you listen, one of the things I want you to listen for is, I believe that our purpose has to be bigger than our problems in front of us to be able to make it through. And so let me share this quick video from our executive team on our purpose.
As I've been in business for quite some time, I've wanted to rally people around something, a cause or reason why we exist.
Cambridge exists
to glorify God by
enriching the quality of every life we touch.
I get to tell a lot of people about that, why we exist, and whenever I share, I just share that that's not a faith statement about every single person inside of Cambridge. It's simply an acknowledgement that the business that we call Cambridge is about something much bigger and much grander than just profits.
It kind of knocks people off balance a little bit. They're not really sure what to think of it.
We believe there's something bigger than us, and we're going to conduct ourselves in a way that we're responsible to something bigger than us.
We want you to feel unconditionally loved here, exactly as you are.
If I can be unconditionally loving to those around me and just love them for who they are and not what they're doing for the company, then it can be transformative, and it really does walk out the why.
The glorifying God, why we exist statement was finished by saying how we were going to do that. We were going to glorify God by enriching the quality of every life we touch, whether that's the people that work here, the people that come to call on us to sell us parts for our equipment, or externally when we go out to solve problems for our customer.
And it's something that's a lifetime, it's a journey. And enriching lives, it's not a destination, it's about people.
Enriching lives is about promising to do more than heating a building.
Because it means that anytime you come in contact with the body of Cambridge, your life is going to be better for it.
This is who we are. It's what we strive to do. Do we do it perfectly? Absolutely not. But we always aspire to be better at it.
Really, the culture has been something that means enriching lives all the time. It's just now that we get to write it down and share it with you.
There's something about the Cambridge experience and enriching lives that has been here for many years. We're just saying it the right way.
It's almost like it's just a final piece in a really beautiful process that we've been a part of.
And so I love it. I love the fact that everything, every sticker we put on, every business card we give out, every piece of logoed stuff that I wear or anybody wears, is actually going to say, we are Cambridge Air Solutions, and this is what we do. We enrich lives.
So I think what I want to just share there, as you're looking at some of our employees here in a morning meeting, is that each of you individually and your companies has a purpose that's bigger than this challenge that's in front of us. And I know I'm so encouraged by that at Cambridge, that the hard work to writing that down with the coach's help to get unstuck at a time and place and a space where we were stuck was really meaningful. And today I believe that because we are all stuck right now together, I believe that there's going to be companies and people that rise above that with a purpose that's going to be bigger tomorrow than it was yesterday. And I'm really thankful for that. And I do believe that it's the time now to have that conversation if you haven't yet. The second is that you're inside of this purpose. And so my hope is that your life is enriched somehow today. As we go into the daily habits of Cambridge, I want to share, these are fall under a category called lean, and they come mainly out of the book 2 Second Lean that I shared with you before. These are pictures of our morning meeting when we're meeting together, and these are not social distanced, as you can see. Today we've moved all of our morning meeting rituals to virtual, but this experience to have a daily rhythm that where every single day we stand up and we share, we communicate, we share different parts of the business. We share the metrics, safety, quality, delivery. We actually share revenue every day, and a different person leads every single day. That habit that we formed 5 years ago, I believe has been critical to building a culture that's unstuck and maintaining an unstuck culture today. What we were able to do in this crisis is the team worked to move this meeting virtual. And on a Friday, we shut the meeting down. On a Monday, we had the meeting started back up and people were on Zoom in a meeting, and we knew what to do and how to do it because we had that rhythm and established daily habit. One of the habits that goes into this daily rhythm is grateful appreciation. And I just think about this particular rhythm at a time like this. We've been doing grateful appreciation. This slide goes up. A different person leads it every single day, and people take the mic and share what they're grateful for around Cambridge. And I know that this is one of the most powerful times for me as a leader to be able to hear what's on the hearts and minds of our people. They share sometimes things that they're grateful for at home, sometimes teammates that have lifted them up and taken on workloads that they didn't need to take on. Sometimes grateful about even hard things, impactful things where they've been able to help a friend in a time of need. And I just feel like this time right now, this daily habit of gratitude has been so impactful for me as a leader to make it through this challenging time. And as an organization, that daily habit that we gained from a coach when we were stuck, and then we put in place before the crisis, and now have in place to be able to carry us through, means the world to me. One thing I want to encourage you on is that if you don't have daily habits that were formed before this time, you actually can have them later. And I see a grateful coming up. Candace Bingham just shared a gratefulness for this webinar. Thank you for sharing that. I would love to see that in your chat. If you have a moment, chat in what you're grateful for at home or at work. I love that idea. But I want you to know that I feel like we're right now, people are more open to creating new habits than ever any time in the past. When we're stuck and we can't make our way through normalcy, we're ready for change. And I think that our organizations and our cultures and our leaders and myself and our families and our kids are all ready for change right now. And so if you have never established a habit of gratitude in your life, this would be a time to stand up and do it. You could do it as a family, as a small team, as an individual, or as a company. I would love nothing more than each individual company in St. Louis, in Missouri, in the United States, or around the world. I know we have some people coming in from around the world, and I would love nothing more than for this habit to be established in everybody's life. And I just think about the impact that that one single habit change could make on our communities and our world in this time. What is the daily habit that I've recently started and want to continue post-COVID? Thank you. We've got a question coming in. I'll answer it right now. We just started a daily habit of our executive team meeting virtually. And so we are basically meeting every single day. We had a weekly rhythm and we've moved it up to a daily rhythm. And it's only 15 to 20 minutes. And I love seeing their faces and dealing with the bigger issues each day. And I want to keep that one moving forward. Thank you for the question. The next daily habit that I want to share on Cambridge's side is Lean and Clean, where we give 30 minutes a day, and 100 people have created 8,000 improvements documented over the last few years. And this daily habit, I just think about, there's a lot of times people say, I want to spend time working on the business and not in the business. And the problem is, it's like, how do you do that? And most people set aside one day a year and they go offsite and they work on the business instead of in the business. They work on their improvements at that time. And when you think about trying to create daily habits like that, actually Paul Akers shares that he wants you to have a daily time in that. And so we listened and we set aside 30 minutes a day from everybody's schedule to make improvements. We ask everybody that their job is to make improvements and not just do their job, to improve their job during that time. And so that dedicated time of a daily habit has produced enormous gains for Cambridge. If you have already experienced this before, it might not be new, but I want to share some of those for those of you who are new to this experience. They actually create a short selfie video where they show the before and after of the improvement. And so what I've done is I've taken a few of those and put those together. I want to share with you one of our young leaders. It's Justin Mead, and he actually, I just took a few of his videos from his first 6 months here and put them together into one video. It's about 3 minutes long. I'll let you experience it, and then we'll talk a little bit.
Hey, this is Justin from S-Team S-Line. I was just wanting to give you some improvements that I had over the 2-second lean. And I had some tools over here that were all scattered all over the place, couldn't find them. And so what I did was I made a shadow board, as you can see. Everything's organized and has its place so I can get to it and get the job done and right. And all I did was just grab some foam and made a tools cut out. So, and that is my 2-second lean improvement. Hey, this is Justin from the S-Line on assembling. I just wanted to show you a little project we did. Basically, we have this cart here. We used to have another cart over in that area, and it was taking up space in a walkway. So what we did is we put everything on this cart. We got trash cans and all of our little tools on the side, so that way it's saving space and eliminating waste. So just eliminating waste just a little bit at a time. Hey, this is Justin from the S-Line. I just wanted to show you something. This is where my trash cans used to be. Now, this is where they are now. Just improving a little bit, but we're going to improve on this a little bit more. There's more to come. See you later. Justin on the S-Line. Just want to show you guys something. We've been, I got a little metal piece back here from Reggie. He formed it for me. Thank you for him. And, well, we've been putting all the clamps up here, hanging it on some bolts. And we got some burner plates right here. And that's our 2-second lean. Lean and clean. Hey, this is Justin on the S-Final. I just wanted to show you guys something on this cart here. Every part, sometimes you don't know where it's at and which of the aisles over here. You just look at the PF34 and you'll find it down this aisle, PF34. And if you go back to the cart, every single one of these parts has that, so that way I can find it, no problem, no hesitation. And it's preventing motion and transportation on trying to get everything stocked up. That's my 2-second lean. On the S-Line, just wanted to show you my old chair. It had all my tools and my trash cans. Well, I didn't have any room for my parts on my cart, I'd have to walk back and forth nonstop for my parts. So getting rid of this, and here's the new one. All my stuff is on it, all my tools, everything that I need. And then over here, I got all my parts. When I'm assembling the unit, I don't have to walk back and forth, so that's saving me about 5 to 6 minutes a unit. And so, got my trash cans and, you know, extra room down here. So, I also wanted to thank Rob for helping me build this. Wanted to thank the paint line for painting this. And, basically everyone that's here, thank you for everything that you've done to help me and get me to where I needed to be. So, thank you. That's my 2-second lead. Hey, this is...
So that is a fun share. I'm gonna just try to see if I can get back to sharing with you guys. I would love for Annie to bring up a little poll here if she can. The first question that I ask if I'm in a public audience is, would you hire Justin after watching that? So you've got no resume, no background, except for just what you just saw. And I don't know if you're able to see that video, but would you hire Justin? The second is what traits do you see and notice through the video? And I normally ask this in a big audience, and I would love to hear your feedback on what you saw there. And the last question that I ask is, you know, would you like your son and daughter having 30 minutes a day if they were working on a production line, or would you like them inspired and encouraged to improve their job, not just do their job? And then would you love to be able to see them grow in front of your eyes like that? The courage, the ownership, the self-confidence, the humility, the gratitude. I just think about how powerful it is to be able to allow people the time and energy to set aside time in their day to make improvements in their own life and in their own work. That is a daily habit that we have at Cambridge. And so what I know that one choice, we made one decision 5 years ago to add a daily habit of setting aside that time. And as Annie shares those results, I don't know how many we got in, but would you hire Justin? We've got 100% say yes. I would too. You can't have him. He's really happy. But I just want you to know that we have many other Justins. And the 8,000 videos that have been captured over the last few years share the courage and creativity and gratitude and ownership and self-confidence and initiative. We had to give them the opportunity to do that. That was him doing it. All we had to do was create the daily habit so that he wouldn't be stuck. If you think about how hard it is to normally make changes in the processes that people are doing, and how much power we gave to Justin to be able to do that by that one daily habit, is really, that's the difference between having a stuck culture and an unstuck culture. We used a coach to do that. We didn't do it on our own. And Paul has been here. Paul Akers was the coach, and he's been here several times, encouraging Justin and encouraging the other folks and encouraging our leaders, including myself. And just talked with him last night. We've got a new company that's working on, we've actually created a little monster here in St. Louis. We've got about 20 companies that are gathering on an ongoing basis, working to build cultures of continuous improvement under that lean model, and working across and meeting on a regular basis to try to do that. And so we don't have to do this alone. We're not doing it alone. And so it's so great to be inspired and encouraged by others. I think I want to just share, you know, the 4 steps again, just for living an unstuck life and getting your culture unstuck. First is you have to admit you're stuck as a leader. I think that this is really normally only done by an individual. You have to be able to admit that you're stuck. If you're leading a company or leading a team or leading a family or working on a team and you don't have a way out and you can't figure out, I'd love for you to take that first step. I believe it's critical. I haven't found any way to get unstuck without at first admitting that I'm stuck. I can't just stand up and say, I've got this. I have to be able to say, I'm stuck and I need help. The second is just to ask for help. Who in your life do you have that could actually be a coach for you, a mentor, a friend that would actually provide guidance along the process, not just advice, but actually sit with you and guide you along the path? And then what daily habits would they suggest or do they have in their life that would work in yours? And can you play with those and see if you can incorporate those daily habits? Is it okay not to think of a grandiose plan, but think of a simple, small change, like sharing your gratitude lists with others or writing out those on a daily basis? What would that mean to you in your life if that changed, and how it would help you get through this? And then the fourth step, and I think this one gets ignored too often, is to pay that forward, to actually help other people get unstuck in the same way that you got unstuck. About 2 minutes on Cambridge, just so everybody knows what we do. This is not a sales pitch in any way, but we do enrich lives in many different ways. We do share our lean journey openly, and we want people to be encouraged and inspired by that. We know that we want to be able to share, learn, and grow together. We also do manufacture products for the manufacturing sector, warehouse distribution. We enrich the quality of the workers' lives by heating and ventilating equipment. So we help leaders create comfortable working environments, safe, productive working environments for their hardworking people, and been doing that for 58 years as Cambridge Engineering, and for about 3 months as Cambridge Air Solutions. And then we also, just recently, in the last 2 years, we purchased and acquired a company that has the cooling side of that business as well, to provide industrial cooling. So if your people are too hot in the summer or too cold in the winter, or you feel like you would like to be able to look at cost-effective ways to manage that, we would love to be able to help in that way. These are 3 actions that you can take before we go into questions and answers. You can join us for a virtual lean tour. You can join, we're opening up our morning meeting like we have before, but we're gonna do it virtually. And on our website at lean.cambridgeair.com, you can sign up for one of those slots. If you're really serious about building a lean culture, we would love to partner with you deeply on doing that. I'm on the board of the Association of Manufacturing Excellence, and we're a member of the consortium here in St. Louis. There's 12 formal members and growing. We've been meeting on a weekly basis to help each other and encourage each other as manufacturers in St. Louis to get through this COVID-19. And the people that have shared best practices with us have been so valuable to our learning and growing through this COVID work, and would love for you to join. There is a cost associated with the consortia to help facilitate that at $6,000 per year. Or you can join AME. There's not a cost to that, and you can actually become part of just AME as a national entity and come and see the annual events that they hold. I do believe that they're a great organization of practitioner to practitioner, learning, growing, and sharing together. Lastly, just connect with us on social and share your stories with us. We'd love to see your gratitudes. We'd love to see how you're enriching the lives of those you serve. And you can do that on Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn or Twitter. That is my contact information down below, and my preferred method of contact is WhatsApp. If you're familiar with that app, that's the quickest way to get a hold of me. I'd love to turn it over for questions and answers, and if Annie can join me for those and help moderate, if there's any questions that have come in, or if you have any questions that have come in before on the registrations.
We do have a question from Greg Williams. Mark,
yeah.
He says, I noticed that Justin expressed appreciation for those who helped him with his improvement. Do you attribute that to the culture you created by the habit of expressing appreciation?
Yeah, it's a good question. You know, which one comes first, the culture or the people in it? And the gratitude that Justin expressed, you know, certainly came with him as we brought him in, but the daily reminder of gratitude and how that mind shift to say, if I'm having a bad day and I come in and that grateful appreciation's up there, I know that I'm thinking about what I'm grateful for and I'm listening for what other people are grateful for. So I believe that habit is what helped him express it so clearly and helps encourage him to do that on the videos. So thanks for that question. I do think it's so critical, the ritual nature of the cultural sharing of gratitude is what comes through in those videos. What other questions, Annie?
We do have one that was sent to us previously. What do you do if you don't have senior or buy-in from senior management in terms of moving the culture forward or continuous improvement?
Yeah, I think this one's one that we get on a lot of our tours as well. I think for me, the advice that we got from Paul was to start where we had authority over. And so if you are a team member, then you can work on your own processes. If you're a team leader, you can work on your own team. If you're a departmental leader, you can work on that department. If you're a company leader, you can work on that entire company. The key for me is to not wait for someone else to change or not expect someone else to change. This kind of thinking, the ability to get unstuck, is both an individual process as well as it can be a cultural process for the whole company, depending on if the leader is ready to get unstuck themselves. So don't wait for them. Work on your own stuff and manage to change the things that you have control over and accept the things you don't. What other questions came in?
Here's one. What can I do to alleviate fear or anxiety in my company during this time?
I mean, I shared that I was stuck this morning. I think you could say stuck or fear or anxiety are all tied together. And I know that my daily habits, personal daily habits as a leader, have been so critical for me to be able to not bring fear and anxiety into the situation. And so for me, it starts with good sleep, taking good care of yourself, making sure that your habits are very solid. For me, that included this morning an hour of prayer, study, and self-examination, because that habit helps me to relieve the anxiety that I hold in my own leadership. And then when I have anxiety, and I do, and when I have fear, I need coaches that I've actually built relationships with, sponsors, mentors, that I can actually take those anxieties to, so that they can absorb them and talk through them with me, so that I don't bring them into my team, I don't bring them into the company. And so whenever I come into the company and people are like, "You're pretty calm, Mark," I'm like, "Well, yeah," but the anxiety went somewhere else to be processed, whether that be a counselor or a coach or mentor or friend. So those are some of the things that I do myself to relieve my own anxiety, and then not bring it in and add it to the culture.
And Mark, I'd love to jump in just for what's been helping me during this time.
Yeah.
As an employee who's working from home and is a lot of out of her normal rhythms. I think the two big things that have been helping me are just open communications and a lot of transparency from our executive team down. So I know not every company embraces transparency as much as Cambridge does. That's fairly unique, but I think just there's almost daily communications about what decisions have been made or how we're going to approach operations, kind of where we stand in terms of St. Louis and other factors that are either in our control or out of control. I think it's just embracing what's happening right now and talking about it and answering any questions that we can, that the executive team can.
Yeah.
It allows a forum where to be authentic and to be real, and you don't have to feel like you just have all these questions in your head that can't be answered. So that's one of the things.
I love it.
That's been helping. And the other thing that's been helping me is just creating some normalcy where there wasn't any. So any meetings that we would have with my smaller team or with coworkers, we try to do over Zoom so we can see each other's faces and touch base and at least find out what's going on in each other's personal lives for a second before we get to business. And just having some of those meetings and those daily rhythms that we're actually touching base, rather than just me working in a cocoon and trying to communicate via email, which doesn't always work. I think that's just helped kind of get back to a new normalcy, at least for this time being, where everything else just seems like out of my control.
I really love it. So transparency and making sure that you're transparent with the information so that everybody can see it and know where they stand. And then the second one was just create normalcy in the rhythms that even as they are not normal. So you're basically creating normalcy where there's not normal structure. I love those two. Thank you for sharing.
And I think Jason has a follow-up question on that. He says, you mentioned focusing on things you can control.
Yeah.
How have you seen that focus manifest in terms of influencing others to adapt a lean mindset?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the key for me is attraction rather than persuasion. And so, you know, I know that there's nowhere that's more challenging for me than at home. And so I've had to just live a lean life, make structure and systems that are simple. And if they are really attractive, other people adopt them. If they're not, I can't make them do anything. And so at work, you know, I've got this false sense of authority that I can actually make people do things, but you really can't. And so the most effective way I've found to convert into a lean mindset is attraction. If you are living it and they're seeing it and they're attracted to it and they want it, they'll come get it. And so just be the most attractive lean leader yourself, and people will come into that and step into that.
And if I can piggyback on that too for a second, I think
Yeah.
what's actually, it's been kind of humorous and really interesting is that even while we learned lean at work and it pretty much attributed it to a lot of work settings and what we could improve at work, the mindset itself does lend itself very conveniently to home lifestyle. So what can you improve at home? Is it continuous improvement? Are you looking for opportunities of waste and eliminating them? So there's things that even just as I create my workspace here, I'm figuring out that maybe my snacks are too far away, or I need to close off certain things during certain times because the UPS truck is coming, whatever it might be. Yeah. I don't know that I would have identified them as waste or things that I could improve upon before I was in this mindset, before I was introduced to it. So it's it's almost kind of bringing things back into my control because I know how to approach it, or I know I'm trying to figure out ways that I can approach it. But it's things that I learned at work that are totally applicable to home and to improving your home lifestyle, or in this case, your home work environment, or whatever it may be.
I love it. Yeah. What would you say lean is? How would you define it even right now in your own life? What is lean for you?
Well, lean is just to me right now, being aware that I can improve things, that things don't have to be as they are, as they're presented to me, that it's up to me and I need to be proactive in making it better so that it creates a better environment for my family. It makes me a happier worker and mother and wife. And it's almost freeing to think that way, to think I'm in control of this. I am and I'm not. I'm not in control of the external factors of this pandemic that's happening, but I can control these things at my home to make my life easier and my life better. That affects so many things. It does go back to Cambridge. It does go back to raising my children. It does go back to being a better wife.
Yeah. I think the idea that there's a lot of this crisis that's out of our control, but you're still, because you're thinking in a lean mindset, you're still thinking about controlling the things you can and making them as good as they can be. I mean, I hear you doing that in everything you do. And you're not in our lean department, right?
No,
you're
marketing.
in marketing. It's awesome. I mean, I think this book shared, it just says how to grow people and build a lean culture, a fun lean culture. And I see you growing in front of my eyes. And when lean is about growth and about making your life better, it's got potential to be attractive. Whenever it's about making everybody else's stuff better, it's not, it doesn't attract as much. And so I love your shares. Yeah. I know that, do we have any more, or are we ready to go?
Yeah, this is actually a great question. Somebody asked, okay, can you share how your sales and customer service teams have been affected by our current situation?
Yeah, so I think they're talking about in terms of COVID-19.
Yes.
So on the daily habit side, they're on every morning meeting call right now because they're not able to travel. And so they're actually more present now than ever. As far as they're trying to convert all of their in-person sales processes to virtual, and it's really hard. And so they are admitting they're stuck. They're working with coaches from the outside to figure out how to learn and grow and change. But it is really hard. The part that I love is they're still doing it. We do have a full order backlog, and we're continuing to get orders, and we're continuing to build the essential infrastructure for the U.S. construction industry. So we are, they are still active in their roles, but it is hard because they're changing everything about everything that they do. They used to travel every single week, and they're not traveling at all. Our customer service team is working with virtual technologies to be able to help contractors if they have urgent needs. They're only traveling in emergency basis, and you know, they're working as much as possible just to help and serve from afar. Big changes for them, for sure. I think we should wrap up now, Annie. What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds good. If anybody has any follow-up questions, feel free to connect with us on social media or contact us. All of our information's on the website. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, a reminder, these are 3 things you can take action-wise. We'd love to connect with you in any one of these ways. You know, take a virtual lean tour. We'd love to come see your place. Join AME in some way, shape, or form to share, learn, and grow together. If you're building a lean culture, we'd love to see you, see help there, and we'd love to be a partner in that. And then connect with us on social. 4 steps, you know, for me, if you want to live an unstuck life, you've got to get comfortable with being stuck, because if you're going to grow as a leader, grow as a person, grow as an individual, you're going to always step into places where you're stuck. They're not always going to be COVID related, but if you learn in this time where you're stuck how to have a different mindset about that and admit it more quickly, it will help you for the rest of your life. I would encourage you to actually call it a coach, a mentor, a sponsor, something bigger than an advice person, because what you're going to need is, in this step, you're going to need somebody that walks alongside you through the changes that you're needing to make and makes corrections with you, but they're always in it for you, and they're not going to take credit for it. They're going to actually give you the power to be able to make the changes in your own life. Think about just the daily habits that you have to adjust. Don't think about massive changes. Think about small changes that will make a major impact in the long term. It's about these small incremental changes, that daily habits that build cultures, they build lifetimes, they build character, and you will be known by how your daily habits build up over time into the character that you have as a leader, as a friend, as a coach, as a mentor, as a mom, as a dad. And then pay that forward. Agree to be a coach. At least raise your hand and say you'll help somebody else get unstuck from the same things that you were. So in ending, I will say, and I don't say it tongue in cheek, but you know, I want you to know that there's some congratulations here. You know, you are stuck right now. And my hope is that the daily habits you create today in your life and in your cultures will transform the way you look at life and the way you lead your companies, and that out of this, you will grow stronger and mightier from this challenge. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Annie, for moderating and for joining me on this experiment. And we'll see you on the other side.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good Easter weekend.